There's a little thing called the Nine.
Donington.
I'm like dressed to kill right now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Right Between the Eyes podcast, the KISS podcast, where we love it loud. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Right Between the Eyes podcast and Rogue Record Music episode 6. And this is a special edition of Right Between the Eyes podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Rob. And normally I'd say with me are Nick and Nico Caruso. They are not here on this episode. And this is primarily a Rogue Record Music episode. So I'll explain why this special episode of Right Between the Eyes that I'm releasing this on the RBTE feed, and this is also hopefully pointing you towards Rogue Record Music. That is my other show that I've been slowly building and recording stuff behind the scenes, and I'll kind of get into that of why this episode exists for RBTE and maybe what the future holds for RBTE. We'll get into that in just a second. So this episode is already a little over an hour, so this intro could push this to a 2-hour episode, and I don't mean to, so I may have to do some cutting and editing here. The long and the short of it for Right Between the Eyes, we've been on this weird hiatus, and the full transparency, there's nothing going on between the Carusos and I. We're not butting heads. It has been an extremely, extremely busy summer for the Carusos and myself. Sitting here off to the side is a drum. So I also play drums in a new band that I'm starting. So that is where a lot of my time is. And for Nick and Nico, their job schedules have gotten super crazy. And we've actually had on the books 3 or 4 different times that we were going to sit down, record, and I'm even trying to hurriedly look through here. So if you're listening on the audio side, I have the latest off the soundboard sitting here somewhere in one of the piles of music that I have. And that was going to be something that we were going to do. It is still sealed, and I still have not listened to that album yet. And that has been out, 3 months probably at this point, because I was wanting to listen to it for the show. And just because of our schedules, one of the 3 of us were canceling the episode, sometimes down to the last minute, like, hey guys, sorry, I can't record tonight, or something's crazy, I didn't realize I had something going on, or Nick or Nico had, had to get up early the next day, or their job was going on a lot longer, or I was in scheduled overtime. So things have just kind of kept happening to the 3 of us. And so this is the first that they're seeing this. They're like, hey, thanks for keeping the channel going. And because I was so busy, I wasn't getting a chance to do RBTE content. And for a while, I was always saying, I won't do the show without Nick and Nico, at least as far as the audio. We started as an audio podcast, and I started folding in the video side. And then that was kind of like a companion piece, or if we couldn't record, I would do a video only episode, and I would, pull something, off of the rack or an album or something and come up with a little thing. And I would reach out to Xander or Brant or, whoever in the KISS community to kind of give us a little like carryover episode until the next official RBTE episode would come out. And this year has really been a struggle for the 3 of us. And again, it's just been due to time. There's nothing, we still are brothers and all of that, but it's just been getting harder to get our schedules lined up. And it's something that the 3 of us very much want to do, looking at how this summer has gone. And I would have assumed when we first started the show, we would be up over 100 episodes by now. And the episode count is, I think we're just cresting 60 or 70 episodes, and we're on year 2, year 3, when I thought we should be up there with Xander's channel, over the 100 mark. And that just hasn't happened for us. And that's okay. We've always kind of danced to the beat of our own drummer and had our own thing with the 9 list, and just this camaraderie between the Carusos being a father and son. That's a wonderful dynamic. And then, weaving me into the mix, it's just been this wonderful brotherhood. And the reason Rogue Record Music is here, I'm kind of taking a page out of Tom and Zeus from Shout It Out Loudcast. In their main feed, they have like the Zeppelin Chronicles and Dorm Damage. So I'm kind of testing the waters for people out here, going to give you a little taste of what I'm doing off to the side. And I guess I'm sidebarring a little bit, that I've had conversations with the Carusos, and I've had conversations with Xander's been a good, ear, another podcaster to listen to. And everybody's saying, you keep, RBTE going, and, you guys have put a lot of work into it. If only one of you can be there or two of you can be there, Xander's offered, and Brain has like, hey, we'll come on and we'll pinch hit. But I think when it comes down to it, the three of us it's one thing to have Nico and I, or, Nick and I, that the three of us would say we like it much better when it's all three of us. That's kind of how I'm viewing this. I don't see me wanting to continue to do this show without my two brothers. Be it, if it's a once a month show, it's an every other month show. Do we need to look at this and say summer is busy? Maybe we go on a summer hiatus like TV shows, and we come back in the fall, and then we batch, a bunch of episodes. So maybe when we get to a summer season, we've got, 3 episodes for, June, July, August type of a thing. So those are conversations that the three of us will have. So this is the first that they're hearing it, and they know that I've been working on something. And even the episode you're getting ready to listen to or watch, if you're watching on Rogue Record Music, hey, thank you. If you're watching on RBTE, thank you. But maybe go over to Rogue Record Music, hit the bell, and click like and subscribe to Rogue Record Music, because I want to still continue to do some format, or do the format that we've been doing on RBTE, but take it more solo style and still bring on guests, maybe like Nick and Nico, and bring a Xander, and bring Brant, to bring a Daphne, and whoever else, Stevie Fylthe, who is going to be on this episode that you're getting ready to watch or listen to, which this is titled The Monkees, and it's actually what you think of. It's Davey, Mickey, Peter, Mike, the Monkees. So for people that may have not checked out Rogue Record Music, that I love all kinds of music, anything from rock, jazz, metal, pop, really no rap, some R&B, some 2,000 some odd plus CDs and vinyl in here. That, yes, I'm a huge Kiss fan, but you guys know that I'm a big fan of Dream Theater and Seven Dust and Motley Crue and Bon Jovi and Def Leppard, and a bunch of jazz artists, and a bunch of country stuff, and some Christian rock stuff, and all encompassing the music that I've listened to. I mentioned before the Bobby Browns and Michael Jacksons, and even the Whitney Houstons, and et cetera, et cetera. Music that I've accumulated from all of my rock and metal days, hair metal stuff, progressive rock, and just if you're looking at the screen, the spinner rack of magazines of different drummers. Ray Luzier, if it's in Korn, and Tommy Aldridge has been in Whitesnake, and Will Hunt down there if it's been in Evanescence. I have all of that stuff, and we would kind of weave some of all of our musical influences into Right Between the Eyes. And I thought, wouldn't that be cool if I start going through my music collection and tell my history with music, and why I like these certain artists, why, usually once I become a fan of a band or an artist, I become a lifelong fan. But, where was that entry point for me? What was that exit point? What was the album? What was the Saint Anger album that came out where I was like, I think I was only really a Metallica fan because of the Black Album, and then I just kept buying Metallica, and I enjoyed what I enjoyed, but I've never really listened to Ride the Lightning, or I never really delved down into Kill 'Em All, or things like that. I've heard a lot of those songs, but what made me a fan of that? Or what was the band like Alter Bridge, huge Alter Bridge fan. Out of the, you know, end of Creed, I jumped on and followed those guys and then folded back into Creed. So that's what Rogue Record music is. Even stuff like John Denver and Neil Sedaka, different things that I listened to when I was a kid. When my mother was cleaning the house and she was listening to Anne Marie, Neil Sedaka, and the Carpenters, Elton John, all that stuff kind of assimilated into who I am. And I started listening to a lot of that stuff and found my mother's Beatle records, and a friend of mine introduced me to the Monkees, and then thankfully to MTV, that's where I really got to know who the Monkees are. So that's the episode you're getting to you're getting ready to watch or listen to with Steve Fylthe and myself in just a minute. But I wanted to address right between the eyes is I don't know what's next for this podcast. I love this podcast. I'm wearing all of the merch that you really can't get anymore, that I'd like to try and have that back up somewhere. But I love Right Between the Eyes so much, and I love Nick and Nico, that I don't see me wanting to produce content for Right Between the Eyes without the two of them. I'm not saying, and we're not saying that this is ending, but we may be looking at how we're going to continue to do this, or I don't know, is this the moment where the three of us are like, our lives are just busy and it's been a great ride. We got on during COVID and we ran all the way through to the Rosemont show, and we've just been kind of putting out episodes here and there. And have we just come to the end of our road? I hope not. And I hope the two of them are like, no, definitely. We want to get back at this. But I wanted to put this up here to kind of give you, the listeners that have followed us and supported this channel, that means the world to us, that we have run into you at different shows. Some people have come up and said, oh wow, listen to Right Between the Eyes, and I love what the three of you guys do. And that's the big thing, is our camaraderie on this show. I want to keep that intact. But at the same time, if you're like, I really don't want to see the podcast go away, then follow me over to Rogue Record Music, or in the interim, maybe like Tom and Zeus do you want Rogue Record Music to be folded into the Right Between the Eyes feed? Do you want a separate feed of going, I want notifications when a proper Right Between the Eyes Kiss focused episode is, or do you only, or you're saying like, hey, we want a Rogue Record Music channel that, we'll follow you there. So I hope you will, the links are going to be hopefully populating down here. They'll be in the show notes that you can, I'm trying to pull this up now, so this is where I'll get a weird cut because I was not prepared. You can follow Rogue Record Music, and I've got it right here, because I have not memorized my Twitter feed yet for that. So it is Rogue Rec, R-E-C, all one word, Rogue Rec Music. And that'll get you the Twitter feed. We're on Facebook, and that's coming down here, Rogue Record Music. I don't have an Instagram yet for the channel, and I will soon. So this is kind of like a special episode for the Right Between the Eyes podcast listeners. So if you like this and you're like, hey, keep Rogue Record Music into this feed, and I'll just put up the Rogue Record Music logo so you know what it is. Or would you like to see a proper Rogue Record Music owned feed? So then you've got RBTE, so when RBTE releases an episode, that is definitely the Carusos and Rob, and when it's Rogue Record Music, it's Rob and his various guests. So I hope you check out the new channel. Like I said, I'm only 6 episodes in, and it's, I'm still going to do 9 lists, and I'm going to rank and review albums. It won't be just, obviously Kiss, but it'll be, where does the My Dream Theater fit into, Bobby Brown and Michael Jackson and Metallica and Guns N' Roses? When did I first get on the Def Leppard train? What bands have I been following, before Kiss? Where did my love for Barry Manilow come from? What made me a Monkees fan? Well, if you want to know what made me a Monkees fan, you're in luck, because you're getting ready to watch that right now with my good friend Steve Fylthe from On the Fly. And we are going to delve in to when we became a Monkees fan, what year we became a Monkees fan, and we do our top 9 Monkees song. So I hope you enjoy this episode. This couldn't be farther away from Kiss, but I think without the Monkees and then, yes, the Beatles, would there be a Kiss? So I hope you enjoy this episode. So it's not really Kiss related. It's not right between the eyes related, other than the 9, of course, makes an appearance. So sorry we've been gone so long. We are hopefully going to reconvene soon and give you a proper right between the eyes episode. But until then, I hope you follow Rogue Record Music, because if you like what I'm doing, maybe give me some little bit of love and support on Rogue Record Music, and we can continue the music discussion going and take it far beyond Kiss and other things, and hopefully music that you have in your collection will be the same that I have in my collection. But for now, here we come. Walking down the street, we get the funniest looks from everyone we meet. Hey, hey, Rogue Record Music. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Rogue Record Music, my satellite podcast to Right Between the Eyes. And this is just a podcast of me just being able to talk about all different kinds of music, rock, jazz, pop, country, doesn't matter what it was. And I love to bring guests on, and my guest has such a cool show. It's like this grab bag of a show, and sometimes from episode to episode you don't know what you're going to get, and those are some of my favorite shows. From On the Fly, Stevie Fylthe, how are you doing today, sir?
Doing great, buddy. How are you?
Doing wonderful. We're going to travel to the 60s, maybe the 70s, 80s, 90s, and maybe even a little bit today. As you can kind of see some of the stuff around here in the episode description. And from the last episode I did, this is a Monkees centric episode. We're going to talk about how these young pups discovered
Yeah.
young is word. Yeah, young, right.
When was that, bud? When was that?
That's right. Well, as far as I remember when I first discovered the Monkees, I remember my mother going, how are you listening to them? Like, how did you stumble on it? My mom had a really extensive, vinyl record collection and 8 tracks and stuff like that. I mean, she would play stuff like Neil Sedaka, Anne Murray, Carole King, the Beatles, and, you just name it. It was kind of this, she cleaned the house to like Barry Manilow. So I'm a huge Barry Manilow fan. I'm not ashamed to say it. Saw him in concert. He puts on a great show.
He's great, dude. I mean, he does his writing and everything. He wrote some great. He even wrote a song about I write the song. I mean,
that the whole world sing.
Exactly.
And then, which tails in that my mom also loved Neil Sedaka.
Yeah.
Like I said, mentioned Carole King and the Diamond. Neil Diamond. So
yeah,
that all funnels, into this. So just. Let's start at the top. Like, how did you discover the Monkees? Like, what was your year time frame that you would find
somehow, some way they were in syndication sometime in the 80s before Monkey Mania hit. And I just remember I'd never heard of the Monkees like your mom. My mom but my mom's was Elvis. She cleaned the house to Elvis. We had one of those stereos and floor stereos, huge. And she pumped it up. She pumped it up every Saturday when she was off work. So I knew more about Elvis. And at 5 years old, I was a big Kiss fan. And between Elvis and Kiss, that was pretty much it. My dad had some beach music, some Beach Boys. He liked the Janet Dean, stuff like that. But I remember being home from school one day after I got out of school and seeing that on. I was like, what is this show? And I saw the guys. It was, the 4 guys. And then I'm like, and then they started singing. It was funny. And then they started to have music in it. I was like, well, this is right up my alley here. Mm-hmm. But then they took it off the air. And, back then you didn't have social media. You didn't have Yahoo or YouTube to look up stuff like this. So I was just like, what? I mean, the Monkees, I've seen some of their records in the music stores, but it wasn't anything that I sought out to buy. I was with my grass cutting allowance, the Monkees. My Monkees vinyl collection was not that great. So I guess when Monkey Mania hit, what was it? was it 86?
That's what I was looking at that earlier. I think that's when Monkey Mania was, as you know, this is where Rob will probably edit here, but
Yeah, it had to be like 86. I'm looking right. Yeah, May of 86.
okay, yeah, right.
It was like the 20th anniversary. And MTV went off and did like a Monkey Mania time on MTV. And in the small time I'm in, we never got cable. We had 3 channels. But I had a buddy of mine, and I guess he was a Monkees fan, and I didn't know it. So he recorded the whole day. I mean, his mom was a Monkees fan, I guess, and she made sure all of it got recorded on VCRs. And you guys, if you're young, you won't know what a VCR is. But I said, man, let me borrow that tape. Exactly. There you go. There you go. A video cassette. And
right.
I've got a VCR back here too. So, so he let me borrow it, and I don't want to incriminate myself, but somehow I was able to get a copy of that, and I wore it out. And man, after that, between me and him, and his mom had CDs of it. I probably would incriminate myself on that too. But anyway, I just went into my Monkey fandom then, and everybody talks about, well, the TV show was great, but the music was really what they were funny, slapstick humor.
Mm-hmm.
The music, I started really to get into the music when I started hearing it on every show, and I was like, I wonder what that song is. And I would always watch the credits at the end to see what songs were on there. And a lot of times, without that show, I probably wouldn't have listened to a lot of the songs because some of these songs were on the deep cuts. Of course, you had Last Train to Clarksville, you had Not Your Stepping Stone, but some of these songs were deep cuts that were on the show. And
right.
I became. There's one that I'm kind of flirting with. I may change my list as we speak right now about. Because now I'm thinking about it, because it's an honorable mention, but I've been thinking all day about, gosh, that's one of my favorites. I can't leave this off the list, but that's really how I got into it with Monkey Mania. And like I said, a couple years before that, but when Monkey Mania came around, and then I think the single they released, that was then This Is Now, of course, without Mike, but that really got my fan, because that hit top 40.
Yeah.
That was all over radio. We had radio stations that when you actually had DJs at radio stations, and it wasn't cookie cutter, they would do like a nightly countdown where they would have people voting. We would call in and vote. And that was then This Is Now made and believe it or not, it was called Hot 9 at 9 o'clock. Like, nice. I know you're 9. I know you like the 9s. So it's Hot 9 at 9. They would let guys be guest DJs and to introducing them one song. I got a couple of times I was able to do it, but that was in This Is Now came on there, and I was like, holy crap, the Monkees are back. So yeah. I'm sorry to ramble on, but that's how I got it.
No. That's what this show is about. Nothing but rambling. And that's a cool thing. It's, doing some of the shows solo is weird, like just talking into the camera, but to be able to get somebody on and just, we're going to have like a script, but not really, and just let the conversation go where it goes.
Right.
My story is very similar to yours. I remember when cable started coming through, the town that I'm living in, just a few doors down from the house that I grew up in, ironically, which is kind of weird. And my dad, I felt like he was the last holdout in our town. We're not getting cable, there's no need to get cable. God. Yeah, where I was just like, all my friends have it. So I remember going to my friends' houses and watching MTV and, just different things. And then once I think Fox started doing football, baseball and stuff, then my dad's like, whoa,
okay. Wait a minute.
let's rethink that. So we got that, and I remember just being glued to it. And it was like it was probably late 86 and turning on MTV. And I remember looking at the show going, what's this? And I'm still a huge like Jerry Lewis fan, and the Three Stooges, and the Marx Brothers and all that stuff. So the slapstick zaniness of the guys really made me laugh. And then they were, like you said, they were singing. Like there was a music video in there, and MTV's, infinite wisdom, and I don't mean this bad, there weren't a lot of music videos early on. So they were trying to find stuff like, hey, it's a 20th anniversary for the Monkees, will put the show on. And that took up, a lot of screen time that they didn't have to play the same. It was more than 12 videos, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You weren't seeing, Michael Jackson every 4 hours, or something like that, or every 4 minutes. But so I remember just being glued, putting the VHS tape. I remember my mom walking in and she's like, you need to come here, because I was recording. So she opened up her 45s and I started seeing, Last Train to Clarksville, I'm a Believer, and was talking to my best friend, and he started listening to him. Well, we would go to our youth group and we were singing, like we did the Monkees walk, coming in. And our youth leader was like, how do you boys know that? Like, you're not old enough to know how to do that. And we're like, I was watching this, group called the Monkees. She's like, time out. So then following Sunday, she brought in some of her record collection. It was all these Monkees albums. And we're like, we already thought you were cool, but this was like next level, So, we'd borrow the records, and my parents had a turntable that would record to a cassette or, 8-track. So we were dubbing, the records to have them that way. And so for Christmas, I got That Was Then, This Is Now was my first, Monkees cassette tape. And I wore that thing out. And it was so cool that songs that I was like, oh, I remember I'm a Believer and Last Train. I remember hearing those on the radio and not really knowing who they were. But then I was hearing, like you said, That Was Then, This Is Now, like, oh, this is my era. So it was, from 86 till about 89, like I was obsessed with getting as much as I could. Like you said, with the lawn mowing money, when I'm buying Kiss and AC/DC, going, am I going to buy a Monkees, whatever, and then they put out, the BUUUUT album, which
that's a big find there.
Oh my gosh. And from the last video, I had walked into an antique shop and it's sitting there. And my hands were half shaking. I've got the cassette tape, I've got the CD, but to get it on vinyl, I was like, this is amazing. I wore that album out, and I ended up seeing the tour after the support for that. So I've got my program here.
Jeez.
So I saw the Monkees in it would have been 1989, the 89 tour. And I saw it on a Sunday. I can't remember. I have to look at my ticket stub. It's just off the side of the wall. But the day before my first day of high school, freshman. So I saw the Monkees. The next day I went and was a freshman in high school.
So you talk about, and this is not monkey related, you talk about being three doors down from the house you grew up in. I'm like a quarter of a mile from the house I grew up in. So never got far away from home. It's nothing like home. So
that's right.
But they were always after 86. They were always a group that I would go back and try to, especially, oh gosh, when Apple Music and Spotify come along, and I'm like, I've got to add Monkee songs here, and then you see the whole list of songs. You start listening to new stuff.
Oh yeah.
And there's one on my list that I don't know if you'll have on your list, because I think it's kind of I may be wrong, but it's kind of one that it was out there, but I don't know if a lot of people liked it, but I liked it. I really liked it. So,
and at the time of recording this, I haven't decided what I'm going to call this particular episode. So I haven't said yet. So I got a little bit of time. But we're going to do a 9 list. It's something that I love to do. Everybody does a top 10.
Everybody loves a list.
So I love doing a list. And like you were saying earlier, right up until I sent you the link for this, I was like, okay, I'm going to move this song to here. And then I was trying really hard to go, I don't want 2 songs from the same album, but I like both of these songs. So I was like, I'll forget it. So I've got it. I've got it on a Word document. So I'm not going to edit it anymore. My scrap of paper.
I would tell you, I debated on doing. I you ask anybody that's been on the show when I do a list, and most of the time I have a tie at the 10 or 9, but I don't know. I'm gonna have to keep this other one at, I think, an honorable mention because I can't leave.
Cool.
I can't. Yeah, that's where I'm going. I'm gonna stick with it now. Final answer.
Final answer. So do you have for people? We have Mickey Dolenz, Peter Tork, Mike Nesmith, whose mother or father,
Liquid Paper, his mother,
and then of course Davy Jones. So there is a show on, not to get religious here, but the Trinity Broadcasting Network. So Mike Rowe, that does Dirty Jobs, has a podcast you can listen to. It's called The Way I Heard It. Well, they brought him on the show, and they do a show called The Story Behind the Story. So they do dramatizations of his podcast. And one of the most recent episodes is about this young boy who wants to be a jockey to ride horses, this little guy. And while he's cleaning up the stalls, he is singing. And the guy, the stable owner, was like, that is a really good voice. You need to think about going and auditioning for this play. And he's like, nah, I really want to be, a horse jockey. That's my dream. And I sing to goof around. And they don't tell you what the subject of the episode is. And right away, I'm like, they're talking about Davy Jones.
Yeah.
And my wife turns and looks, and I said, you married a nerd and a Monkees nerd. And turns out it was. So if you like Dirty Jobs, check out this show called The Story Behind the Story. And he's got it. You can find it on his podcast, The Way I Heard It. So you can look up Mike Rowe on your Apple podcast.
I didn't know he had one. I'll have to check that out.
It's a great show. He has done one on Kiss. He's done one on just on some random stuff. It's really good if you're a fan of Mike Rowe. Anyway, so that was the long way of saying, who is your favorite Monkee? And one of the reasons I play drums is because of Mickey. I'm not gonna lie. He was one of my first drumming influences. Then you get to the Tommy Lees and Eric Carr, Eric Singer. But watching those Monkees videos, and there's Mickey back there playing. But who's your favorite Monkee? I'll tell you mine then.
Definitely Mickey. I mean, Mickey, from when I saw the TV show, his sense of humor, he can be funny without trying so hard to be funny. He's got that sense of humor like that. And plus, musically, I know he would originally, him and Davey were the two actors, and Peter and Mike were the two musicians. And then it went from there. But Mickey's voice, I love Mickey's voice. Oh, you're gonna hear a lot of on my list. It's gonna be Mickey songs. But yeah, I've got to go with Mickey. It's just that sense of humor and his voice. I love his voice. And but I've always been a Mickey fan from the day we watched the episodes. When I first watched some episodes, I was like, God, that guy's pretty cool. And I've never gotten music. I can't play a musical instrument, so I can't go. I'm not playing favors there to the drummer or to the guitar players. But yeah, Mickey by far I won't say by far, but I will say, if I had to pick a second favorite, it would probably be Peter.
Oh, nice.
A lot of people would say Davey or somebody, but I'd say Peter. I like Peter.
Davey has always been my favorite. I was a little guy in high school. He was a little guy. Davey got all the girls, so I wanted to be like Davey. But I thought Mickey was really cool because he played the drums, and his comedic timing is so good.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It jokes that might otherwise kind of fall flat. Just his delivery is just so cool. And then Mike, I've always kind of had an affinity for Mike too. His just this real straight. And one of my favorite episodes is where Peter makes a deal with the devil to play the harp. And
the soul to the devil, and Mike comes to the rescue.
It comes to the rescue, and it's saying that music's inside of you. He has this beautiful soliloquy where he's very serious, and you're like, I might roll a tear in this episode,
And I remember watching. I was like, okay, when is the joke coming in, Mike? When is the joke? And it didn't ever come in. I'm like, he was freaking serious.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite parts about Mike was the screen test. When
Oh
they showed the
yeah.
screen test. Oh my gosh, I laughed so hard. Are you ready for this? Talking about when I go back home, I'm gonna be able to tell these people what's in this drawer on Farmer's Daughter, that TV show. So he was like,
Yeah.
he was looking in the drawers, but yeah.
And I
Yeah,
like
they
how
were all great in their own way, but you know.
yeah. And I like in that screen test that he's just sitting back, like, not that he doesn't care, like he's just doing this, and it probably doesn't think it's going to go anywhere. And he's wearing his hat, you know, that becomes a staple for him. But
it's weird watching. Like I watched one of the documentaries a couple weeks ago, and it's weird seeing him before the Monkees when he was called Michael Blessing without the hat on. I was like, that's freaking weird there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I watched a couple of documentaries getting ready for this just to refresh my memory, but and the TV shows. But I mean, I could sit back like on YouTube. I think they have most of the episodes on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I'm flirting and I'm trying to convince you one day we're going to do it episode by episode.
I don't think you're going to have to convince me that hard. I will do a satellite of this show where we watch the episodes as a commentary track or just review it. I think that would be fun. Like let's do it, dude. Let's make it happen.
I'm all for it, dude. I could do it. I mean, I would have no problem doing all these. I don't know about the movie. I don't know about Head, but
I've got a VHS of that. I remember going, "Oh, the Monkees did a movie like Help. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be like Hard Day's Night." I remember watching it going,
"What?" Wow. I remember going, back in the days when you had Blockbuster videos.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Blockbuster Video, and we were just looking around, and I was like, "Oh crap, what's this?" And it was like the Monkees, and I turned it around. I was like, "Is this like a best of TV show episode?" Then I was like, "It's a freaking movie." I was like, "I can't wait to get this." And I did like you. I mean, dubbed. Yeah, Blockbuster. I probably put you out of business, Blockbuster, but dubbed the thing, and I watched it, and I was like, "What? What is this? This is not the Monkees TV show." Which I guess, they did that on purpose. They didn't want to do that kind of movie. As it would be easy to do it, and I think they said, some of them said, I don't know if all four of them said, in hindsight, we probably should have done a kind of a comedy movie, but that wasn't what we wanted to do at the time.
Yeah. And a quote that I always liked that Mickey had, and we'll get into our list here pretty quick, that I think it's on one of the videos I have. Anyway, he has a quote where he says, and for some people who don't know, the Monkees was a fictitious band that was going to be for, they wanted to have like a mockumentary of like, we want to have a US version of the Beatles, and this is what we think our version of it would be. And Mickey was quoted as saying, I'm probably going to butcher the quote, that Spock becomes real at some point.
I heard, yes.
At some point, the Monkees become a real thing when it was never really intended. Like when they go to breaks, the amps and everything are plugged in, so they start playing. So then the music that's written by the Carole Kings and Neil Sedaka's and, whomever are singing, and they start going, and Mike and Peter are writing like, well, we can write, and we know Davey can sing, and Peter's starting to figure out drums. So they're going, I think we can really become a real band and take this thing on the road to help promote this fake thing that we're doing for a TV show.
Do you remember on one of the episodes, and it must have been when they were getting a lot of flack from people saying they're not really playing the instruments, and it was like at the end of the show, they did the episode, but then they showed them backstage, and they were talking to Mickey about playing the drums, and he said something about it, and then Mike said, I had a guy come up to me and say, do you really play that thing? And he was like, dude, I'm fixing to go out there in front of about 15 to 20,000 people. If I don't play that thing, I'm in trouble. And that's always stuck with me, because I mean, to be around during that period, I would love to, and hearing some of the stories, there was a lot of people that they don't really play their own instruments and stuff like that. And I think, you listen to Mike and Peter talk about it, and they're like, we played. And he said, and when Davey and Mickey came along and it really started coming along, we were playing live. I mean, there was no such thing as backing tracks or anything like that back then. They were playing. Yeah, it is what it is there, bud. But it's just amazing how they turned a comedy show into a great band.
Oh, yeah.
And a top selling band, and it's amazing. I was so glad to find. I don't know how we even got to talking about it one night about the Monkees, but you said I'm a fan of the Monkees too. I was like, holy crap!
Yeah, I think you had posted something. I was trying to go back through your feed and figure out what you had posted, and I can remember sitting on the couch with my wife and go, Steve's a Monkees fan. She's like, who's Steve? And I was like, that's not important. That's in my podcasting world. I was just blown away. I was like, and we've been talking for a couple of weeks, and we've had some starts and stops getting this episode going. But of all the episodes that I've got in the can, ready to go, like I'm wanting to edit this one. I'm wanting to get this one going, and this just takes me back to that time of really discover. I mean, I was listening to music, long before that, but this became one of those things where I felt like I found something that was mine, like nobody else around me. Like everybody liked Def Leppard and Bon Jovi and Judas Priest and all that stuff, but I wasn't listening to the Beatles at this time. I was listening to the Monkees, where I was like, this is kind of my little thing that in a way connected to my mother and father, and then some of my aunts and uncles, where they would go. I remember going to the Monkees concert and having a Monkey shirt, and they're going, did you go to a thrift shop? I'm like, no, I got this a month ago. And just having this thing of like, how did you discover this band? And then my mom's like, they're on MTV all the time,
Yep. And you know what? I'll say it like I always say it. Both of us are big Kiss fans. And I guess back when I was a kid, I was like typecast into being a Kiss or a Def Leppard, Bon Jovi, all the hair metal, which they don't like calling hair metal anymore, but all the hair metal guys like that. But I mean, music is music. Is good music is good music. Right. I was listening to, just like I tell people, I've said it several times, for I think it was 11th or 12th birthday, my birthday money, I went to the record store and I bought 3 cassettes. I bought Kiss Animalize. I bought New Edition, the self-titled album.
Nice.
And then Prince Purple Rain soundtrack. So I was all over the place. And the only time in the 80s, I wouldn't listen to country music. I was like, no, not. But when Garth Brooks came around, dude.
There you go. Right.
Everything for me. I was big time country after that. And have been since then.
We go down to my grandparents. They'd be watching Cash Explosion, Lawrence Welk, and Hee Haw, and I'm just going, somebody shoot me,
Turn on Solid Gold, please.
Solid Gold, yeah, please. But like you said, you started getting into that early country with Garth Brooks, and I was like, that's kind of cool. And then later on to find out that Garth Brooks was a Kiss fan, I was like, of course he was,
Hard luck woman.
So now I listen to country, and I can listen to some old country and then think of my grandparents and going, man, this is really good. I wish I wouldn't have kicked at it so much as a kid,
exactly.
It's not turn up the radio or photograph.
Yeah, I would cringe if they turned the radio station past country, and I'd be like, don't leave it there.
Yeah.
So that, with the Monkees there too, I would play mixtapes on the way to like ball game. I was always the DJ when we were on the bus on the way to ball game. And I had mixtapes with like, oh gosh, people were like, do you have so-and-so, so-and-so? Most of the time I would have it. I was like, hey, hold on 1 second. We'll play it. But yeah, double-decker cassette tape. It looked like a suitcase, dude. Mine was yellow, dual deck with the black speakers underneath, and hold it up like this. Hold it up on it.
Yeah. You talk about. We'll get to our 9 here in just a second.
We're gonna get there someday, but
we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there someday. We're gonna ramble on. But you talk about the three random albums you bought on one shopping trip. We went and saw Rocky IV. So I bought the soundtrack to Rocky IV. I bought Bobby Brown, My Prerogative, and I bought Def Leppard Pyromania. And I remember my friend looking at me going, that is the weirdest set of music. You basically have an instrumental album from a movie soundtrack. I was like, well, James Brown's singing it.
Rocky 4 was not Rocky 3 and 2 were instrumentals, but Rocky 4.
Rocky 4.
You had Survivor.
Oh, yeah. No Easy Way Out.
Robert Tepper, No Easy Way Out. John Cafferty with Hearts on Fire. Let me tell you,
good Lord.
I've run a lot, especially in the summertime. Just about that whole soundtrack is on my running playlist. And
it's a great soundtrack.
The Vince DiCola, he's the guy that did the instrumentals.
Yes.
War and the training montage. But the War, the extended version of the War, like you hear in the movie, I got a hold of that. And that's on. And look, the other day when I was running, I just kept hitting repeat on that one over and over again. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna beat Drago tonight. So, and I got to the end of my run, I went, Drago! And people just looked at me like I was crazy. But anyway, Rocky 4 is one of the best soundtracks ever.
Oh yeah, that was one of those soundtracks where I was like, every movie needs to have stuff like this because we're gonna Rocky tangent, The movie was almost had like little music video vignettes, in it too.
No Easy Way Out when Rocky gets through fussing with Adrian and he takes off, and then you see
gets in the car
flashbacks. Yeah, and he's seeing Drago in his headlights all the time. Oh gosh! But then when he's training, every Rocky movie did the same thing. He couldn't. 4 didn't do it as much, but 3 and 2 and 1, he had the tough time training, and then all of a sudden there was this moment where
right.
But Rocky 4 though, in a way, when Adrian showed up, and then he did the Hearts on Fire thing, and I was like, gosh, that right there, I could go out and that got me so pumped up. I was ready to fight anybody right then when I saw that.
Yeah. I can run from here to Boston with that soundtrack and not be tired.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've been talking about the 9. So the 9 is coming in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the 9. You may only choose 9 songs to move forward. No more, no less. The 9 is here.
So what we do on this show that I'm doing now on this podcast, that any album review, if it has more than 9 songs, we will whittle the album down to 9 tracks, or any list we do. We got the idea from a lot of classic rock albums would only put out 9, maybe 10 songs, as opposed to you get into 12, 13, 14 tracks in the 90s or whatever. So our little shtick would be, let's do 9. You do a 10 list and you say, oh, let's take 1 away. So we're going to continue that on. I told Stevie, let's pick our 9 favorite Monkees songs, and it'll be kind of cool to see if there's any cross pollination between the list or whatever. So I'm going to pull mine up here. So guests always go first on the show. Okay. So brother, what do you got for your so depending on how you list, if these are just random songs, I put mine in order from 9, and then my favorite being 1.
That's where I'm doing. Okay. That's where I'm doing
it. So you're 9.
Number 9 for me, I had to go, and this was one I debated about switching back and forth, but I had to stick with this one because it kind of started the whole Monkee mania for me, and we talked about it earlier. It was on the countdown. That was then. This is now. Mickey does a great job singing. It was just so great to hear new music from him at that time. It had been so long since you'd heard anything from him. But yeah, that was then. This is now. And to see the video of them up there, they look like they had. And I just hate Mike's not here. But
yeah,
that's a whole different story there. But yeah, just love that song. The tone is great. Like I said, Mickey's voice. To hear Mickey's voice being my favorite Monkee, I just love it. That was it. This is now is my number 9.
My 9 comes off the album More. I found out all the albums that they come from, so I wanted to put those in here.
Oh, okay.
So I went a little more nerdy because I thought, I've got this on a best of and a best of, but I wanted to find out where they came from. So from More of the Monkees, Look Out, Here Comes Tomorrow. It was in one of those episodes, and it's a Davy tune.
Jones song.
It's I don't know. It's such a cool song, and where Davy's talking about the two different girls. Look out, here comes tomorrow. Which one am I going to choose? How I wish I could borrow someone else's shoes. Such a cool,
Right.
a lyrical line. But
it made my honorable mentions, and at the end when he starts saying the girl's name, and then he says, "So I love you." I was like, okay, David. Yeah,
Cassandra.
This Cassandra. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I love you. This should have been on that one where he's meeting all the girls.
Yes.
And Mike's like, not again. We're not going through this again. He gets a little sparkle in his eyes.
Yeah,
and
they're like, no.
no. They all chase him around and chase him out. And girls are just popping up everywhere in that thing. I mean, that I remember that's one of my favorites as well.
Yeah.
All right.
You're 8, the Ocho.
Number 8, and I'm a sucker for a ballad. Anybody will know that.
As am I.
Knows that. And this one, I think this was on the episode where Davy's grandfather comes, and he's talking about he's got to go back to England because he's not really a success. But Shades of Grey.
Oh, that's a good tune.
Shades of Grey with Davy, and then you have Peter get a chance to sing too in the second verse, and the chorus when you can hear Mickey and you can hear Mickey and Davy on the chorus. But yeah, I just love Shades of Grey. Like I said, sucker for a ballad.
I flipped 8 and 9 right before I sent you the link, and maybe I shouldn't have because our 9s would have been exactly the same. From the Monkees then and now, the best of the Monkees. That was then, this is now. It has a way of being an 80s Monkees song, but still having that pull a little bit of reminiscent of the late 60s, 70s version of the Monkees. Like you said, Mickey's vocal is so clean, so smooth, like he hasn't missed a lick at all. And like I said at the top of the show, being able to turn on the radio and hear a new Monkey song, like a my era Monkey song, was always really cool to hear. And then, like I mentioned, our youth director, she was excited going, I've waited, 2 decades for them to release something new. And, here it was. So she was just as excited as we were.
That would have to be like for us, in a way, when Psycho Circus came out, or so we thought, that first time that all the 4 original members of Kiss played together. That had to be like that for her, because that was a while before. It was about 2 decades when that happened.
And another band that I think of right around this time is I remember when the Rolling Stones released Steel Wheels.
Steel Wheels, yeah.
Right around that time. There was a radio station around us that played that lead single for 24 hours solid.
Really?
Yeah. That was the only song the radio station played for 24 hours.
I mean, I don't mind it, but I don't know about 24 hours. I've heard of radio stations. One radio station did, I think when they were changing formats, I would turn it by there and they were playing I'm Sorry by Brenda Lee over and over again. And I was like, really, dude? This is too much.
All right. You're number 7.
Number 7, another Mickey song, big hit. And it's, like I said, a lot of these are going to be Mickey songs. I'm Not Your Stepping Stone.
Oh, that was on my honorable mention list. Yeah. Such a good tune.
When he says, you won't put my name on your book of who's who. I said, I'm not going to sing it. I'm not going to do Mickey. Just to try to sing it. But that's enough. And the ending of it where he gets really into it and just starts not your stepping stone. And you'd hear Davey in it. And I think one of the episodes, the girl episode.
Yeah.
He's sitting there and he's just in a trance, and the song is over, and Davey he breaks out of trance and starts going, not your stepping stone. Yeah.
When I saw them live when they were playing it, they brought up there was two drum sets. They had like a normal, like a regular drummer, and then when Mickey wanted to go play, he'd get behind his kit. So as he's doing the drum fill on that, he starts going completely to the left side where he's just playing on the air, and they're like, Mickey, you're off the drums. He just kept going, not your stepping stone, just like air drumming. It was really funny.
Let me ask you something. When they had the show, and you remember when they had the local bands that would come in with them, was one of them, I know one of them was the Jolly Green Giants.
Mm-hmm.
Was one of them Paul Revere?
I think so. You
know, Paul Revere and the Raiders recorded the song, I'm Not Your Stepping Stone.
I knew somebody had until you said that. I had completely forgot that that's who it was.
Midnight Ride, the album Midnight. I'm going to have to go back and listen to that. Midnight Ride in May 1966, they recorded it. So this was released for the Monkees in November 66. And
wow, yeah.
So I'm going to have to go back and listen to that. I'll be interested to hear another version of that, which glad I know I sent you that link of the original Monkee. Oh my gosh.
What a weird version of the song. Wow.
I was like, please do not play that again. But anyway, all right, moving on. Your number 7.
My number 7. This song got a huge resurgence thanks to a green, being that lived in the swamp talking about Shrek. I'm a Believer from More of the Monkees. What a great tune. I believe Neil Diamond wrote this one. And it's one of those songs that's very synonymous, with the Monkees. It's got a great hook. Another Mickey led song. This was one that live. This one just goes over really, really well with the audience. But yeah, was one that when I became a Monkees fan, this is one I just replayed over and over. I was toying like this. There's some songs where you go, this should be a lot higher on the list, but I've got some favorites that, it's a great tune, but it sets at number 7 for me. But just if you ask a lot of people to name a Monkee song, this is one that gets mentioned quite a bit.
Yeah, a lot. And that made my honorable mention. Did not make my list, believe it or not. But so number 6 for me, this is where we're going to get this is the one that I'm kind of wondering what people will think of it. Probably the only good thing that came out of this, and I'll give it away when I say that, from the movie From Head to Me.
Okay.
The Porpoise song.
Okay.
It's kind of weird, but I like it. It's very different from what they usually do. Mm-hmm. But the way they started out with Mickey's song, and it's a slower tempo song. And maybe I'm a sucker for Mickey and Davey being in, because Davey, you hear Davey in the chorus, the porpoise is laughing goodbye. Yeah. I don't really understand the lyrics, what they're trying to say here, but the melody and the voice is great. I'll have to get into the lyric, but I'm reading this here. Lyrics call into question the Monkees' prefabricated image and reflect their desire for creative freedom and authenticity, including a veiled reference to Dolan's childhood work on the television series Circus Boy. I don't know where that comes from. I'll have to look at the lyrics again. But that opening scene from Head, when Mickey's getting chased.
Yeah.
And he ends up jumping off the bridge, and you see the porpoises in the water out with them and all this. But yeah, I've always, for some reason, I know it's probably strange to a lot of Monkees fans out there, but some reason I've always loved that song.
That was one, like, when the movie starts, that is really the only spot that makes it feel like it's the TV show for a bit.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're getting chased like they did on the TV show, and he jumps in the water, and you're like, what?
That was like the one where he's getting beat up. David's getting beat up, and that guy just said, "I will do anything to help a citizen in need." oh, want some straight sense, please help me. How about you, sir? And that guy ends up walking a woman across the street to get out of it. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know why it's always, it's an elaborate production for them, because it had a lot of different things, chimes, bells, and then you had the actual porpoise sounds in it. But I could have dealt without the porpoise songs, but I guess that would have took away from the whole meaning of the thing. But yeah, I've always loved porpoise song.
I've got a soft spot for that song. It didn't make any honorable mention, but when you were talking about the movie, this song immediately came to mind. So
yeah,
good poll.
Yeah.
My 6 would be, you hear the jangle, the guitar and the tambourine. You take the last train to Clarksville, and I'll meet you at the station. Just what a cool song. I love the whole train, the thing they do where it makes it sound like the whistle, in the song. Just cool lyric, cool jangly guitar, screams the 1960s, but in a hip, cool fashion, as the Monkees could do, and just great harmonies between the guys. And I've always loved the song. I'm a sucker for it. When I always look for like weird, obscure live versions to hear like somebody else play it and go, nah. And I always go back to the Monkees doing it. So Last Train to Clarksville is my 6.
That's another thing I'm a sucker for is harmonies. Big Beach Boys fan, big Eagles fan.
Oh yeah.
Anytime you throw harmonies, when I hear somebody doing harmonies, I'm like, okay, if you could pull this off, I'll be a big fan. And I'll talk that's going to be a little bit further ahead for me. I'll talk about what I think of Last Train in a few minutes. So
okay,
not trying to give it away or anything, but all right. So we're down
should
number
be
5. And this is a Mike song. He does a great job with this. So I remember hearing it the first time. I was like, daggum, this is an awesome song. Talking about a girl he knew somewhere.
What a good song.
Yeah, just a loudmouth Yankee. I went down to Mexico. There's a different version of it. There's 2 versions of it. The actual version that made the album, and then there's another one that's kind of different. I like the regular version on the studio album, and the song, and it's actually the version that he plays on the TV show. But yeah, he does a great job. I didn't know I remember I was like, daggone, Mike can pull this up. Mike's got a great voice.
Really good voice.
Peter had a great voice. He just didn't get to just hear it for a while. But Girl That I Knew Somewhere. Am I thinking the same song?
No, that's just a loudmouth Yankee. No, that's What Am I Doing Hanging Around?
What Am I Doing Hanging Around? I just gave away one of my other ones. Okay. Girl I Knew Somewhere is Mickey.
That's right. Yes.
I'm embarrassed now. So number 5 for me is
that's what editing's for.
Edit that out. I'm gonna be like Bruce. Edit that out.
Okay, Cutie's out.
Cutie's out. Girl I Knew Somewhere. That's a Mickey song. So I'm embarrassed now. I was looking at my list, but Mickey, and you hear the lyrics of this song. He's talking about not getting fooled again by this girl, because he's taking her back, or thinking about taking her back, and is like, you remind me of a girl I knew somewhere, some way, somehow, and the same girl did me wrong. So I remember hearing, as a kid, you pay attention to the lyrics, but you don't really look a whole lot into it like you do when you're older.
Right.
Because I'm a big storyteller of songs. I like to hear stories. I like to hear meaning with it now. But this one, I was like, oh, he's really some way, somehow, that same girl did me wrong. And I was like, wow, he's just saying, nope, sorry, not going to happen again. You're not going to do that to me again. Bye. Move along. But yeah, Mick, like I said, another Mickey song, Girl I Knew Somewhere, is my number 5.
That's a great tune. My number 5 this comes off the Monkees, the very first, got it right back there. The first Monkees album.
Great album.
I sold, I think I had to sell magazines in junior high, and coming into 8th grade. And yeah, you sell enough magazines or whatever, you buy stuff, and they had a Monkees album. So that's what I got. Like the second album I ever got. The first one was Alabama's Roll On, and then this Monkees album.
Alabama Roll On. Nothing wrong with that. I love some Alabama now.
Oh yeah. But the song I chose is a Mike Nesmith song, Sweet Young Thing.
Sweet young thing.
Something very strange has happened to my brain. I'm either feeling very good or else I am insane. I love that song. The song appeared in the TV show. It was one of their, like, when the Monkees get hired. This is one of those times they actually played the song all the way through. It's got a really cool guitar solo in it that Mike does, or maybe Peter does it, but in the show or whatever.
What is that they're playing at the intro of that song? Because it kind of sounds like bagpipes or something at the intro of it.
Yeah, that's that, or I thought it might have been like an accordion.
Yeah, the accordion. It could have been accordion. Yeah. Because it's something different. I remember that.
So there were a couple bands that I was in where we played this song, fattened it up a little bit. I'm like, this song will rock. Throw a little extra distortion behind it. So I always loved doing this song. So
yeah,
Sweet Young Thing.
That is on my honorable mentions down here. So,
all right, we're to number 4, sir.
Number 4 is you talked about Last Train earlier, about that being a song that people always think about when they think about Monkees. There's another song that they think about a lot, and that's Daydream Believer. Davey does a great song. I remember the intro when he's talking and he said, what take? They say take 2 or something like that. He said, what take is this? Take 2. He said, all right. It's because I'm short, right? Being a short guy, I always kind of sided with Davey like that. But Daydream Believer, and so many people went on to do this song over again. Mm-hmm. But it's such a great song. And Davy's voice on this is so great.
Oh, yeah.
Cheer up, sweet dreams. Oh, what can it mean to a daydream believer and a homecoming queen? Yeah, but Daydream Believer is my number 4.
If Nick and Nico were on the show, something that they say a lot, this is not planned. Coming from the album The Birds, the Bees, and the Monkees, Daydream Believer is my number 4. What a great song. And I love at the end when he's doing the Davey would say he did the Axl Rose before Axl Rose did the Axl Rose. That he's doing that, like walking off the multicolored thing. And something I always thought was cool is they're playing around the piano. Mickey's got the tambourine that his hands going through the tambourine, like he's not actually hitting it. It's
no.
I love
sometimes I wonder when they did them videos, especially after the questions were asked. Sometimes I wonder if they did stuff like that on purpose, just to mess with people. The critics. Like you see, he wasn't even hitting it, and Davey's up there sometimes with the tambourine and not with some of that stuff, and he's not even doing anything with it. He's
right?
Background stuff. So I kind of wonder sometimes if that was just throw shade at the critics.
Yeah, same here. All right, number 3.
All right, so this time, I get it right this time. Mike's song, Mike Nesmith gets on the list with "What Am I Doing Hanging Around?" And
such a good
loud mouth Yankee. I went down to Mexico, and he talks about meeting a girl and didn't have much time to spend, about a week or so, and then she didn't even speak English, so he's just trying to woo her and get some loving from her before he goes back. But that one, when I first heard that on the TV show, that was another song I heard on the TV show, and I was like, I got to go back and find this. And that's made a lot of my playlist on when I just want to listen to something, because I don't know about you, when I go to sleep, when I go to bed, I have to have something, whether it's music or the TV, I have to have something playing, and I make like a sleep playlist. And that song is one of and there's a lot of Monkey songs on my sleep playlist, but that song is definitely up there. What Am I Doing Hanging Around is number 3.
That if we were doing a 10, this would have been my 10. I love this song. When I saw him live, it was just the 3 of them, and Davey said, "Hey, we should play one of Mike's songs." So of course, Mickey starts doing George Michael Faith, and he goes, no, we need to do one of Mike's songs. He said, no, we do one of Michael's songs. So then he starts doing Michael Jackson Bad. And Peter goes, no, like this. And he pulls out the stocking cap, puts the stocking cap on.
Oh, wow.
And the three of them do this song. So that was really cool. So I almost like having Sweet Young Thing on there was like, oh, yeah. But my original list had What Am I Doing Hanging Around? Such a good tune.
When you hear what would have been my number 10, I'll tell you that what I was thinking about switching, but when we get through, I'll tell you what that was. That's a kind of a deep cut.
So my number 3 is from the album that I just recently bought, BUUUUT. I love this album to death. It was my first new full Monkees album of original songs, and it's a Davy Jones every step of the way. I love the video.
Oh, wow. Such a cool
song, cool video. Davy's in his mullet stage.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I love that tune. So I'm gonna go deep and nerdy with these last 3. So these are not your atypical. I'm going deep. So these are not your atypical Monkees songs. So Monkees fans, if you're out there, they may be going, oh, geez, okay. But I'm leaning into like kind of my era of the Monkees. So every step of the way from BUUUUT. Number 2.
You know what? I am not really familiar with BUUUUT, so I'm going to go back and listen to that now.
I
will add that to my album challenge list. I'll add that tonight. So
yeah.
All right, number 2, and you talked about it earlier, was your number 5, Last Train to Clarksville. I mean, this song was all over the Monkees TV show. I think it was up there 7 times. Was what they said. The lyrics, they say, were inspired by a Beatles song, Paperback Writer. Yep. Paul McCartney singing "Take the Last Train," and then they kind of robbed that. What I like is I'm wondering how they do the hissing of the. I guess somebody just gets up there and hisses every time. I was listening to that on my headphones because you listen to it, just listen to it without headphones, and it just sounds right. But when you listen to it with your headphones, I'm actually wondering if somebody just went the whole time to make it sound like it was hissing, because it sounded like. But that's another song that the Monkees are so known for. To hear Last Train, I remember the first time hearing it, and of course, a lot of these songs, the first time I heard it was on the TV show, and I think they did the whole thing with tying somebody to the train track. They each took turns tying each other to the train track or something like that. But it's just a great song. And a lot of these songs, people talk about, well, you hear it so many times it gets fatigued. But this one right here, Daydream Believer and Stepping Stone, have no fatigue for me.
None.
And I mean, that's Daydream Believer, and this one, gosh knows, that's my number 2, Last Train to Clarksville.
So this is, talk about obscure. This is a deep cut from a modern era. So this is from the Just Us album.
Just Us, yeah.
The last track is It's Not Too Late. It is the last song that the Monkees would record as a quartet. So the albums that would precede this, all 4 of them would not appear. It'd be in all 4. It'd be in some fashion. But this album kind of gets some flack sometime. People say it's a lot of recycled stuff that they all had previously as solo stuff. Circle Sky is on there. It's a cool Mike Nesmith song.
Yeah.
Regional Girl. And I actually bought that and this VHS at the same time, the Just Us. So this is something I want to get transferred over. So they have, music videos for Regional Girl, Oh What a Night, Admiral Mike, Runaway, You and I, and Circle Sky. But there's just something about this last track on the album that I love. It's a Davy Jones led song, and it's not how Davy originally had recorded it. It actually gets a little bit, heavy, I guess is
Right.
loose for the Monkees, but it's a more flushed out full band thing. And Mickey kind of ends the album with the final course of the album. And I think it just ends on a really cool note. And I was just looking through some YouTube clips, and somebody had posted the day that Davey had passed away, and said it's really fitting that the last full Monkees album is a Davy Jones closing song. That,
Right.
It's not too late. So I think I was kind of feeling a little sentimental with it, but it's not too late from Just Us.
Justice was a big deal. I remember that being a big deal when that came out, because it had all four of them recorded. And, because, that was then This Is Now. That was pretty much it was three of them. It was just Mickey and Davey and Peter.
Mm-hmm.
But when they did Justice, and I kept waiting for I was like, something's going to happen. They're not going to put it out. It's going to be some kind of dispute or something like that. But when it came out, I was like, this is a freaking big deal. The Monkees come out, all four of them come out with an album for the first time. God, I don't even know how many years it had been since they all four did an album together. It had to be the 70s.
Yeah. I don't know if it was Chances.
May have been.
May have been. Yeah, but the last
discography, but yeah.
The last full album where they all played was Headquarters, and I've got it I'm backwards, there. I'm always backwards in the videos. So
yeah, me too.
But anyway, so we're down to the final one, number one. So what is your favorite Monkees song?
As much as I went with, that was then This Is Now, because that started my Monkee fandom. This song is like the iconic Monkees song. It started off every episode. It's got to be Hey, Hey, we're the Monkees. Maybe it's sentimental on my part, but you hear it every episode. And like I said, that version, if they ever did the other version with, I think it was Tommy Boy singing it, it was god awful. Thank God
Horrible.
the band decided to redo that song. But yeah, Here We Come Walking Down the Street, and then do the little dance. People going back and forth, that iconic dance. But yeah, the Monkees theme song is my number one.
That's so good. That would have been, if we were doing 11, it was my 11th.
If I was doing 15.
15, it'd be 22. And I remember watching it. It's so funny as the songs playing, they're labeling the band members incorrectly, and they're making reactions like they're sad, they're happy when they finally get it.
Oh yeah,
and
because I was so put Peter's name on every one of them, and then and then when they finally get the name right, they're smiling.
He's clapping. And how naive I was at first. I was like, man, how many people in this band are named Peter? Like there must be 8 people in this band or whatever. And I started going, oh, you idiot, there's only 4. They're making a joke. Like, yeah, the first episode I watched, I just remember going, what? Like, oh, you kid in junior high. No wonder you're not getting any chicks.
Join the club, dude.
My number one, this is an oddball. I saw it on the TV show, and I was just obsessed with this song. And like you said, like the songs that they played on the TV show weren't like quote unquote some of the hits. They were kind of throwing some, curveballs in there. And it starts out with this, like voiceover, like, hello, is this thing on or whatever? And they're in like a type of a spaceship looking thing. It's Star Collector.
Oh, wow.
I love this song to death. I'll let her keep on going. Oh, I love this song. My wife's giving me a look of like, please don't start singing right now.
Go for it, dude.
I absolutely love the song. It comes off the album Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, and Jones Limited is the album, and I've got it on a anthology. I can't remember when I got this, but I liked it. It's got like a lenticular,
wow. Yeah, I remember lenticular
type of a cover. Yeah, and I was looking through this one going, okay, please have Star Collector on here. But there's just some good stuff on here. And this came out right after Just Us was released. Like You and I appears on here, Heart and Soul. That was then, This Is Now. But just what a really cool anthology set of songs, 2-disc set from Rhino. So Star Collector is my favorite Monkees song.
So we did have one that we were the same at. I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
So
And knowing that their, catalog is as big as it was, but
huge.
I figure we would probably have some crossovers, but we went deep on something. Like you pulled out the Porpoise song, I pulled out something from Just Us and Pull It.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the discography, and it looks like Changes. There was only 2 of them on that.
Oh, okay. That's Davey and Mickey, right?
I think that's right. And Instant Replay, was that all 4 of them? No, that looks like just 3 on that. So it may have.
Is Headquarters the last? Does it go back that far?
Okay, the Birds, the Bees, and the Monkees. I can't tell. It doesn't say here. Peter had left the group after Head.
So Head might be the last one then.
Head failed at the box office in December. Peter Tork left the group.
Yep.
So that may have been Head. May have been the last one till Justice.
Yeah, 1968 till 1996.
Wow. So the one that I was debating on, and the song, the vocals are good, but what really got me was the guitar intro. I was playing it for my daughter because she's, my daughter has a lot of. I blessed her with my good looks, and yeah, right, and some of my musical taste, because she'll go retro in a minute, and I'll always play her some stuff that I think she might like, some older stuff, and she listens to a lot of old stuff. She's a big Fleetwood Mac fan. I mean, I was Billy Joel. She wanted to go see Billy Joel, and when we got that news the other day, she was like, "Oh gosh."
Yeah.
But this one was Saturday's Child.
Oh, what a good tune.
Gosh, the guitar where they do the dun, 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 and they do the little delayed on it, but that's another Mickey song too, and it's different, but it's so good. The video is a little, when they did it on the TV show, is a little strange, but back then it wasn't that strange, but just love it. I mean, they're kind of yelling during the chorus, and it's not really. It may be off tune a little bit, but it's always was something about that song, just like the Porpoise song. Something about that song I listen to it because getting ready for this, I sat at work with my earpiece in, and I went through all the Monkees albums and listened to it at least once. And if something struck me, and I was like, how did I forget Saturday's Child? And that one was one on there. And I'll tell you another one that had a little bit of a resurgence after a certain rap group did a movie in the late 80s. Mary. Run DMC with bugging? I remember hearing that song the first time. I was like, that's the freaking Monkees. They're sampling the Monkees. I said, the Monkees are so cool. Even so cool, Run DMC even used them. But
yeah, I remember pointing that out to a friend of mine. This is how, you're not supposed to know that's a Monkees song.
Exactly. And I was like, Mary. I said, that's Mickey Dolenz.
One that I had, I was looking at the anthology that I had on here, was I'll Be Back Upon My Feet, was one that I liked quite a bit. Valerie was another one.
Valerie, yeah.
Such a good tune.
Let's see. What did either one of us put Pleasant Valley Sunday on there?
No, and I can't believe I didn't.
I was like, that's a pretty known song for the Monkees. Going Down was different.
Yeah.
Sock It To Me. Then let's see, what else was up here? Another Davy ballad that I liked. I Want to Be Free.
Such a good tune.
Yeah. Papa Jean's Blues.
Yep.
And then wouldn't Randy Scouse get the one that always ended the show? when they did the credits most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then words sometimes would end the two.
Take a Giant Step. Yeah.
Such a good.
Yeah, there's so many good songs. We could have done a top 20. We probably should have had to do a top 20. But that would have been boring because we would have, I always tell the guys that I do lists with, they were like, we should have done like a top 15. I'm like, but then it would have been boring because you wouldn't have had to make those hard decisions. Because I've easily got like 20, 25 songs here on my stuff that I pick from, but narrowing it down, that's what makes it so fun.
Yeah. When we started talking about this a week or so ago, I think I had 16 or 17. I remember going, this is going to be murder trying to pick. But like you said, that's the fun thing. You start weeding stuff out and then you start picking stuff that you really like over, like, I know this isn't popular to pick, but I really like it for whatever reason it is.
It's what you like. It's what there are songs that I listen to that people are like, what the heck is that? I'm like, dude, I've been listening to this for forever. I mean, over and over again, I can listen to it. But the people, I was talking to somebody a couple of weeks ago about, it was my daughter. And I was like, can you imagine a day in your life without music? And she was like, Daddy, I hadn't really thought of it, but yeah, I can't imagine not listening to music. She said, I don't think it's a day goes by I don't listen to something. And each song, if I could do a top 10 list of deep cuts that probably nobody ever heard of, but each song, and I mean, just like you, when you hear some of these songs, it takes you back to a certain memory.
Right.
And that's one of the things I did on trying to get people to for a future episode of On the Fly. What is a song that brings to mind a really good or bad memory for you? There's certain songs that when I listen to, it automatically takes me back to that moment. I'm like, holy crap! High school dances, dancing with that girl you've been wanting to ask to dance for the first time. It's so
that song that you just broke up, and that song plays, and it shreds you to pieces.
I'm gonna drown in my own self-pity listening to these songs.
Isn't that's a typical 80s 90s thing. Go to a record store and go, I'm going to buy something that I'm going to eat a whole bag of Cheetos tonight and drink all the Surge I can and feel sorry for myself and just play the song over and over.
I had a tape, I think, for a little while that I would play back then, was just depressing as crap songs. Gosh, I could do an episode on that. But and music, like you say, it always gets you back to that moment, and it's stuff you'll never forget. For me, at least, and I think for you, it's the same way.
Same. Oh, brother, this has been a good time. Before I let you go, plug your show. Tell the folks out there where they can find you, and maybe something that's coming up on your channel.
All right, so it's On the Fly. We do, like you said, from episode to episode. You don't know what it's pop culture. We do music. We do movies. We do pro wrestling. We just did if you're a pro wrestling fan, we just did an episode last week with our 5 favorite heel turns, which, that was tough to come up with, tougher than you think. But of course, number 1 was not a big deal there. We knew what that was. My guest had a different one though. I will tell you that. Xander is getting ready to come on tomorrow night.
Oh, nice.
With his big Kiss announcement this week. Great news for him. So he's coming on tomorrow night. I also do a sports podcast. If you guys are sports guys, Final Score. I'm a big Steelers fan. You can see back here, I've got some Steelers merchandise back here. So we've had a lot of Steelers in the past. We're kind of on a hiatus with the Final Score. I'm waiting for football season to really start coming around so we can get back into that, because I do like baseball and basketball, but I'm not into it as much as I am football. I'm a football coach, so I'm into that.
I'm just hoping my Lions can turn this thing around and
Dude, y'all got some
get us to
bad
the big
news
show.
today.
No,
That
I
was
know.
surprising today. What the heck?
Yeah, I remember scrolling through. I'm like, this better be a late April Fool's joke because this ain't funny.
No, it's not. And that I'm a Steelers fan, but Detroit. I mean, I was the black sheep of my family because the rest of them were Washington fans because that was the only team around here at the time when I was growing up. But I became a Pittsburgh fan about the same time I became a Kiss fan, 5 years old. So, but Detroit has been one of those teams that you always wanted them to see them do well. And like this year, I thought maybe this might be the year, but God knows, dude, injuries tore you guys up.
Yeah.
I mean, and now I'm kind of interested. People are like, well, Detroit's going to be back. And I'm like, maybe. We'll have to see what they do when you change the offensive and the defensive coordinator in the same year. That's kind of, it all depends on how much like golf adjusts to a new system. If they put a new system in, which, you don't know what an offensive coordinator will do with that. And the defense, how they go with Hutchinson coming back, that's hopefully he'll be back to his old self. But when you got two different coordinators coming back in, it may take some time for them to get adjusted to that. So we'll see. But I think they'll be okay. I hope they'll be okay.
Yeah, I hope so too. With two really good solid years after decades of just not landing, the times of going to the Superdome or Silverdome and watching Billy Sims and Barry Sanders. That was my childhood football star growing up was Billy Sims. And then once Barry came on, that was like done.
And wore the number 20 too.
And wore the number 20. That was so cool.
Barry was a favorite of mine. And there was Herman Moore. We had
Chris Spielman for a while.
Oh, Spielman was so tough on defense. I mean, so tough. I did like when they did the announcement where he announced his own induction into the whatever you guys call it up there in Detroit.
Yeah.
Spielman, I try to do it, and maybe I can bring you on the final score because you're a Detroit fan.
Oh yeah.
I don't see many Detroit fans. So top 10 favorite Detroit Lions.
Oh, count me in. Count you
in. Okay, I'm gonna put you on the list.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, back when I was a kid, football was everything for me. If I had the internet, I would be a total football nerd because I was reading books, magazines, and my dad took me to his work one day and he was bragging on me to his boss. He said, "You ask that kid anything about football, he'll be able to tell you." And the guy asked me, "What time is somebody playing in 2 weeks?" I was like, "Dude, I'm not talking about times. I'm talking about stats."
Stats and players, rushing yards.
But who was it? Eric Kramer?
Yeah.
He was a local guy around here. He went to NC State. So seeing him go and make it big there and took him to the brink, of course, from Washington, that whole Mike Utley year, you just felt like that was going to be the Cinderella story that year, but they ran into a buzzsaw with the Redskins. I mean, nobody was going to beat the Redskins that year, I don't think.
Well, to talk about your team for a second, I work in the town that Ben Roethlisberger is from.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So Findlay. Yeah. Findlay is just 22 miles away from where I'm at. So I work in the city of Findlay. So he went to Corey Rawson School because he wasn't getting played in Findlay, but after some time, Findlay kind of readopted Ben. So they've got a couple murals in town, and we go to Findlay High School, and there's the Steelers jersey and stuff in there. And we're like, he didn't even graduate from Findlay, but it is what you can get the Big Ben sandwich at a local restaurant that he came down.
Burger.
Yeah. So
yeah, I've just been a Steeler. When I started the podcast, the Final Score was the first one I started with. And to be able to get some of these guys, not just football, but basketball players that I watched. And I know you probably had the same experiences to be able to talk to some of these guys. And I'll tell each one of them when we're out there, I said, "God, let me tell you, it's hard for me not to fan my way out right now because
Right.
Rod Woodson, I had him on.
Mm.
And Rod Woodson was the first Steelers jersey, besides the little old Sears jerseys that are with the iron-on numbers that my mom got for me.
Yeah, yep.
But I was just like, dude, it's just hard for me. It's surreal for me to believe I'm talking to you right now. I said, I'm not trying to freak you out or anything, but you know. But yeah, that you can find us. You know, both of them have YouTube channels. You can find us anywhere you stream. Spotify, Apple Music, wherever I don't know what other ones are still around now. I don't know if Stitcher is still around.
I think Stitcher's kind of gone now. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, you can find anywhere you stream your stuff, you can find us, and look us up on Facebook. We got a TikTok. You know, follow us on Facebook. Send me a friend request. I'm very open to talking to people. Love talking to people about music and sports. So anytime you want to talk about it, let me know. Send me a message.
All right, we're going to end it here, folks, and we're going to have you back on, and we'll get you over on Right Between the Eyes as well.
Yeah.
We'll do some Kiss nerdy stuff. So,
yeah, I can go nerdy on a lot of topics.
On behalf of Stevie, I'm Rob, and you've been watching Rogue Record Music. Come in the next time, and we'll see what's on the rack. Bye.